Hello and welcome back to another Torah Tidbit. I am so excited today because I'm joined by one of the beloved members of our preschool community, teacher Talia, here, who we've invited today because this week, in honor of Parshat Mishpatim, we're going to be talking about losing stuff. I don't know about you, but I lose a lot of stuff. Every day someone returns my water bottle to me that I leave in the chapel or somewhere around synagogue. And it seems to run in my family because on Tuesday morning when I come back after my day off, there's always a small pile on my desk of a fidget, a toy, a talit, a water bottle, or something that either myself or one of my children left around synagogue. So I thought it might be helpful to talk to teacher Talia a little bit about how she manages losing things that happen in her classroom. And then we'll talk a little about the Torah behind this a little bit. So What goes on in the twos class? What happens when things get lost?
Well, we usually encourage parents to label everything because a lot of the kids have a lot of the similar items. You know, they're all into Baby Shark or blue water bottles or things like that. So labels really help us to figure out whose stuff belongs to who. We also try to tell the kids, if you take your shoes off, put them in your cubby so you can help find them, when you need to go outside. It's just trying to help them get more responsibility over their personal items. And remembering that there's a place for everything. And so that way, it's a little easier for us to manage 14 two-year-olds' items and not have a big chaotic scene.
So what you're really saying is Rabbi Shulman needs a cubby somewhere in the synagogue.
The synagogue is your cubby.
My synagogue is my cubby. Great. Those are such great tools. And I think it's also, maybe it's about slowing down enough to be able to appreciate to do that.
Yeah.
Judaism helps us to slow down, to appreciate not only remembering our stuff, but also the mitzvah of returning lost objects. This week in our Torah, in Parshat Mishpatim, we learn amongst the many laws that are mentioned that when you encounter the donkey or the ox, not just of a friend, but actually of your enemy, wandering, you must take it back to them. The rabbis call this the mitzvah of Hashevat Avedah, the mitzvah of returning lost objects, which is just that. It's a mitzvah. And how interesting that it's not just about returning to a brother or a sister or family member or a friend, but actually we're commanded to return it to someone who we don't like so much. All the more, I guess, so reinforcing the importance of doing this and not holding it on to something ourselves. Although those Elsa sneakers, for example, might be really popular. We might want them. But what a mitzvah to do that. How do you go about returning lost objects in your classroom?
Well, if things aren't labeled, we usually hold the item up and ask the kids in the class if they know who it belongs to. A lot of times they do, and they'll be like, oh, it's so-and-so's, and then we can give it back to them. We also have a lost and found table.
Tell us about the lost and found table.
It's just like a random sock that never got sent home, or shirts or jackets or gloves, and we'll just stick them out on the table. We usually take a picture, send it to the parents. Does this belong to anybody? And after a few months, if nobody claims it, it goes into the Goodwill pile or to the extra school clothes pile.
So another mitzvah to maybe pass it along to someone needed. We call that in Judaism hefker. When something is ownerless, when it reaches the point where we've done what's called yeush, or we've kind of despaired or let go of our item, it now becomes hefker. It doesn't ownerless, and it's an opportunity to maybe give it to someone else. Well, I think what Judaism can do for us, as well as the tips that you've given us, Talia, is help us to reframe how we think about our belongings, to establish maybe some organizational systems and cubbies for being able to keep track of our stuff, but also when we lose things, maybe thinking about it as an opportunity for another person to fulfill a mitzvah, or when we find something to be able to return it. And now I know when I lose my stuff and I really can't find it, I'm going to go talk to teacher Talia, and maybe it'll end up on the lost and found table.
You never know.
You never know.
We do a lot of firsts and thens in the class, and that's another good thing to help remember to put things away.
What's the first and thens? Tell us about that.
Well, first you take off your coat, then you go wash your hands, or first you take off your shoes, then you put them in your cubby. Just kind of helps you, like you had said, to slow down, kind of focus, and kind of remember what you're doing in that moment.
First, then. What a wonderful way to think about some of the tasks that we do mindlessly to be able to do with a little bit more intention, to not only keep track of our belongings, but also just to slow down and pay a little bit more attention to what we're doing. Thank you so much, Talia, for joining us today. We want to wish everyone Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.